Take two. Hopefully my sound is working now. It is. Okay, brilliant. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll be continuing to work on the environment, of course. So we've made quite a lot of progress with fixing things was it last week? It was last week. But in terms of detailing, it's lacking, to put it mildly. So what I'd like to do is actually continue with detailing out specifically the bridge. Down the line, we'd probably be refining everything else as well. Obviously, this one is pretty detailed, but the others are not. To put it simply. So what I'd like to do is get this one up and running, but also eventually I want to get into UVing all of these so that we can play around with textures at some point. I can't guarantee I'll do it on stream because it's not something I use a lot, but we might be using Substance Designer for textures. I have used it before. It's not my main software. I use predominantly Substance Painter. But for tileable environment textures, it might be worth considering to use it for this environment. But obviously, we do need UVs for that. We need proper topology for that. And there's a lot of things in that regard that we are missing, quite frankly. So we'll see how that goes. I'll be doing research before we get to that stage, because yes, I've done UVs in Houdini before, but it wasn't recent, and for my previous environment I actually retopoed my Houdini models in Maya and then UV'd them in Maya as well. So I don't know. We'll see how I handle that. Ideally, I want to keep it solidly in Houdini, but we will see. Right, so getting right into things. What are we doing today? We are working again on our bridge. However, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure what specifically we'll be working on the bridge, because obviously I want to add pillars over here. I want to add some detailing up top. Obviously we need something here because that looks very boring. I've considered adding greebles to this. We've visited greebles briefly before, but yeah, choices. I'm not quite sure what I want to do today, which is probably not the best way to start a stream. But yeah, maybe we'll add a little detail on top here because that is quite plain and boring. And then for the rest, we might be able to consider, I'm not sure whether I want to do that, but we might consider actually starting to place our models into, let's say, environment-friendly construction, so to speak. So basically, start placing them the way I would want to for rendering, maybe get a camera into place, because yes, these are... Should we maybe do that? We can do that. I've not played in Solaris in a while, but we could take a look at that. Right, let's do that. Why not? I'm going to be zeroing the transforms on these, just due to the fact that I've moved them around. I'm not mad at the scale of these, but I do want to zero out the translation. So let's quickly do that, and then we go from there. Alright, now obviously some of these have color, some do not. It's fine, we'll work with it. Right, so that is hideous, but okay. What was the other thing I needed to do? I need to add an output node to all of these. Let's do output. And this is tower. Now you guys may have to bear with me as we figure this out, because when was the last time I used Solaris? Probably 2 years ago. Scary, scary stuff. It was 2 years ago, but it seems to be a common theme where I like to mess up on stream. I like stressing myself out and doing things I've not done in forever. Apparently. So this one is 2-story house. Right. Now, before you ever go into texturing, it is very important to actually have your camera set up, because your camera placement is going to determine, quite frankly, everything. So by that I mean the scale of your textures, how detailed your textures are, how detailed your models are. Basically, point is, if you've not placed your cameras and you're working in an environment, you've got a problem. Because a lot of the things that you might want to do, or the details you may want to add, might never be seen. So place your cameras, figure out where you're going with it, and then go from there. I might need to change that to house 1 story just so it's easier, but we'll leave it like that for now. Alright, output. So this takes a little bit of setup. I've been told Redshift is a little bit easier. I've quite frankly never even opened Redshift, so I think it was Redshift. Is it Redshift? What's the other renderer in what? In Houdini. It might not be Redshift, but it's one of the other renderers. It might be Array. I don't think it's Array actually. But yeah, point is, there's another one. So yeah, I've not used it. I'm not confident in it, and I've been told Solaris is quicker in anyway, so I mean, I might as well use Solaris. And Karma is the other word. Solaris is the stage, Karma is the actual renderer. So bottom line is, yeah. Let's do lantern. There we go, and that should be almost it. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the bridge, to be perfectly honest. We'll see. We'll see. We might not even use it. I don't know. But I wanted a bridge, so I made a bridge. Whether I use it or not is irrelevant. Let's say irrelevant. Right. Brilliant. So firstly, let's save. And then the reason I'm versioning this is just because I've made a lot of changes. I've moved placement of things. I've not changed scale, but I've added all my output nodes and all of that, so be that as it may. Right, so we are going to Solaris, why not? Give that a second to load, and we've got nothing. You'll also notice that our viewport is very light and bright, which I actually despise. So I'm going to press D to go to is it background? Texture optimize? No. Camera scene. Is it in scene? No. It should be easier than this. Right, guides. No. Geometry. It's not optimization, it's not texture, background, scale, camera top, front, perspective, color scheme, dark. There we go. Sorry guys, it's cat shooting season, so my entire place is full of cat hair, therefore I am sneezing. Hopefully I muted that in time. Right, so save as default. Brilliant, we've got a dark background. Again, I do not like light background. Now, if I remember correctly, this will be a stop import. And then we can find the path for it. Right. Can I want to grab all of these. Can I filter by out? I want to filter by out. Don't do this to me. If I accept that, it gives me... Ugh. I've not fixed the normals on these. Okay, let's go back. Let us go back. Why have you changed this to... Okay. Modeling. Brilliant. Right, let's fix normals. So that is going to be normal. Right, plop that into there. I'm actually not too concerned with what that's doing. Don't want smooth shaded. I just want normal shaded. Matte cap shaded. Alright. I actually hate what it's doing here. I don't want everything smooth. That looks too gooey. I could just make everything... I really don't like that, but okay, that's good enough. No, I don't like that part. Okay, we're gonna try that. If I hate it, we change it. I really don't like what it's doing here. But let's... Okay. Focusing for half a second, let's leave it like that. I'm actually gonna copy this node, so I hopefully don't have to do this everywhere. Hello. You are very dark. Why are you very dark? That's fine. Right, 2-story house, 1-story house. Going through the whole process, basically. That is brilliant. We might want to add bevels on these just because these edges are ugly. There's no other words for it. It is ugly. But okay, let us fix the normals and then we can get into the fun part. Which is actually setting up lights and stuff. Have I set up lights recently in Solaris? No. But I think you guys just watch my streams to enjoy me suffering, so, I mean, it's fine. I like that. That's fine. Right, lantern, bridge. Oh, that is awful. Right. Brilliant. Okay, good enough. I don't like that I can't see anything there, but okay. Usually when you place the lights, the shadows show in a better way and a cleaner way, so it should, in theory, be fine. Right, let's do Solaris, and we actually want to be in stage. Brilliant. Stop import, we've got that. Normals are actually normaling. Is that a word? Normaling. Right, so we've got that. Now we've got two choices. We can either do a stop import for every house, bridge, lantern, piece. Let's go with piece. We can do an import for each piece, or we can do it in one. I don't have a preference on that. I think I'm just going to keep it like that. So let's do story house. Copy that, plop that into there, and hopefully we now know what it is. Brilliant. So this one is actually going to change to tower. Why not? And I'm not going to keep the VO2 there. I'm just going to grab that portion, and then we plop that into there. Brilliant. And then I still don't like what the normals are doing here. That's awful, but okay. And then next one, this is a bit of a process, but bear with. Copy that, plop that into there. Now I know this is not the most fun thing to watch, but it is part of the process when you're setting up a render scene. So yeah, and we've done a lot of modeling, so I think it would be nice to switch it up a bit. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's go stage. Right. Lantern. Now the lantern isn't the most important part, it's just a little piece, so... But yeah, be that as it may. Right, so that's going to be lantern. Did I change the name on the wrong one? One-story house. Tower, two-story house. Why is there a 1 there? I don't want a 1 there. There we go. Right, so then we want, what else? What else? Lantern, house, stairs, why not? And that one, copy and paste. And then for the last one, we want bridge. The bridge is quite giant. We are going to ignore that fact. Brilliant. Alright, so we've got everything. In terms of placement, we could place along copy to point. We can do basically a version of copy to point, right? Where we copy to a curve, basically. Very similar to what we did with the greebles. So we could do that. That is one option for placement. We could even do randomized. And then what? I don't actually know. That's the one option. The other option is we could manually place these. I'm not a fan of manual placement, but okay. In terms of overall construction, I'm not quite sure which direction I want to go. Whether I want to go more in this direction, that direction, this one, or that one. Because these are obviously all my inspiration photos. This one would be easiest in terms of texturing. But my houses aren't built like this. They're not tall enough. We could do a mountain range as well in the background. That could be fun. My computer might die, but it could be fun. Right, focusing. This one is actually the easiest. But I've obviously got a lot more pieces than they have. I don't know what I want to do. This makes it very difficult. I was initially leaning towards this, and that's why I created this bridge thing that's inspired by that and actually very similar to that. But my problem with it is it's only going to be this piece and basically 4 towers, and the rest is just going to be plain. Well, I lie. It'll be plants, right? It'll be plants then, but I hate being indecisive. Right, and then what are we doing with our lanterns? Now this is the downside to creating all of these pieces without doing your render scene. I did all of these pieces and now I need to find a way to actually use them. So, because of how many pieces I have, I actually wonder whether we should maybe go more for something like this, because more pieces are visible. Brilliant, we're doing that. I've decided. Right, again, we can now choose. Do we want to place manually? Do we want to place individually? What are we... Manually and individually is probably the same thing. Do we want to use a curve? Do we not want to use a curve? What do we want to do? Choices. The easiest, again, the easiest non-procedural way would be to place them manually. This is actually giant. Or am I crazy? No, it is actually giant. We'll have to transform that one. It's fine. Yeah, okay. We could do, so the one option is it a curve? Or is it within another network? The glories of not remembering how you did stuff. Was it in a LobNet? No. Object network? I don't know. Scene. Configure layer. Stage manager. Transform. We can do edits and transforms. That's brilliant. But not what we want to do. Create levels of detail. Auto select. Alright. It's none of that. Component. No. Materials managers. It's one of these. It's not a copnet, that's for texturing. Is it a lob? No, I think the lob network is for, what is it? What's it for? It's for textures, isn't it? It's not a USD. Could be a top network or a sub network. Let's pop into there. I just want to see what's in there. Geometry. Oh, it's all the normal ones. Okay. We're going off track here. I'm going to open up another render scene. I'm going to open up another file where I actually use this technique to actually see how I did it. Let's do, what was it? It was this one. It might take a while to open, and if it does, fine, but I do want some indication of how I did it. That's a downside of not remembering how you've done things, is you have to look back at it. Or rather, it's a downside to not staying up to date with the techniques you used to use. So we're going to open that scene. It'll probably be quicker than normal because I've upgraded my PC since I last opened up this network. So this is actually going to be a brilliant test. Whether my new PC also dies. Right, so I'm going to give that a second to load. Maybe more than a second. Right, let's see. What is the time on that? I've got two monitors in front of each other, so that's why it's taking so long. And I'm going to have to open up. Did you just crash? It crashed. I cannot believe it. How dare it? Right, so we're probably... can I get away with yeah, I could probably use that one. Let's open that one. I'm hoping I could just pop into the Solaris part of things, because I did use some form of a... It wasn't copy to points. It was called something else, but it is basically a copy to points. Let's stop that. I want to be in Solaris. Oh, actually I am. Right, so let's see. Those are clouds. Sky. Don't care about that. So let's delete that. No, let's do nothing there. It's going to take too long. Instancer. It's an instancer. Huh. Okay. Right, let's see. Let's do... What does the instancer do? Find instances. No, I'm in the wrong thing. So let's do instancer. Brilliant. Let's see. Can I pop into here? I can. Okay. Very good to know. Now, what if, let's see, possible prototype source, and then we've got input stage. So the stage, what did I do over here? Object merge. So I grabbed the points for that. Okay, that's fine. Attribute delete, p scale, index. Okay, attribute adjust float, color. Okay, that's fine. Right, so for most of this I won't use, right? The reason being, this was to randomize tree placement and color. Okay, I'm not randomizing trees. I'm wanting to place houses. Do I need p-scale for that? P-scale might help. It might just annoy me. I'm not quite sure. I don't think I'm gonna mess with p-scale because I'm pretty happy with the size of the houses, and I wouldn't want those to really be messed with too much. And then this is just got right. Let's do a merge. I've lost my voice. Fantastic. Merge. Why are you being a nightmare? Right, no, my voice is gone. Alright, I'll be right back. Just gonna fix my voice, and then we should be good to go. Actually, I think it just fixed itself. Fantastic. We can now focus. Merge. That one. Don't want that one. House. Brilliant. That goes into possible copies, etc. And then what are we importing? We could do a curve. Can we do a curve? Just in here. Curve, Bezier. Why not? I actually want polygons though, just because it's easier to work with. I'm gonna go to top view. Right, brilliant. Let's draw. So that is gonna be this one. I just want to see what it does. We can always edit it. Right? Right. Let's output that. Not sure whether that's how it actually works, but anyway. And then it does work that way. Brilliant. However, the placement of these are interesting. They're not far enough apart, and the orientation is wrong. Right, so let's see what we can do about that. Options. Random. We can adjust the seed. Right, so that's all well and good and brilliant. However, again, this is facing the wrong way. So, first thing we're going to do is actually, let's split left and right. And then this one is going to be stage. And that one, let's label it to, can we label it to? There's a way of doing that. No, that's not what I wanted to do. If I pin this, there we go. Brilliant. Curve. I want to edit this curve, so we could also resample it and resample it to less points. That could be an option. But for now, let's actually manipulate it. I'm going to move these. I also will be changing the orientation of this, but that's a later problem. Right. This one. I actually don't like the way it's curving. Now I'm messing a lot with the placement here, which is actually not a very good idea given the orientation is wrong. New headphones. Yes, new headphones. Hopefully they work better than the old ones. Mostly because I watched some of my recordings back. My sound was terrible. Hopefully it's better now. Right, so orientation is again wrong. So we could do we have an orient in here? component. No, we don't. We could do a transform and just rotate them all. By 90? Is it 90? Should be 90. There we go. And then we can take a random skip seed. Do we have all of these? Because I don't like... But we've got houses. Now here we don't... Maybe if we... Could we randomly rotate by 90? That would be ideal. Because keep in mind, the front and back of these look different. Right. What are we going to do? What are we going to do about this? Let's zero that for a second. It seems to consistently have like 3 of the same thing. 2 to 3. Again, there's 2 of the same thing. Now, when part of the reason this looks so bad is because we actually have color on this on these houses, so that that does not help. Right. So instancer, brilliant. We've got that. I don't like how these houses are getting arranged. So what we could do... The problem with manually adjusting these, though, is I don't want to always have to manually adjust. Because then every time I change the point order or the instancer, it'll do something wonky. But okay. Can I grab that one and extend it? Yes, I can. And maybe this one goes around a curve. But the problem with this is it's actually not orienting around it. But I do want it to. Can I? But wait, this is a curve. So technically I could do an orient along curve here. Brilliant! It does work. It does work. Houdini is magic once again. Right. So we've got that. That's already much better. What I'd like to do is manipulate it a little bit more. For example, this is actually going inside of the thing. Why can't I edit you? Pretty please, may I edit you? I'm on the wrong one. That's why. Huh. Okay. Right. So this needs to move. Right. And that one is also going inside, so I would say maybe move that one around about there. Why not? I'm not too mad at that house over there. Oh, no. Undo that. This one, I might move that a little bit forwards. Alright. And then, no. I'm going to adjust the spacing on these two, just so they're not quite as far away. I don't have a problem with them off to the side, but... Right, so that gives me that. I do want towers as well, though. I want to see something else. What if we merge all of these, not the lantern, but add the tower to that? Not the bridge either. Alright. That gets merged, that gets transformed. That's all well and good. Right. Brilliant. Starting point. We can add another curve to this. So let's do that. I want another... Well, at this point we kind of have to decide as well, right? Because I could do this in a separate network and have an additional place that I could control things. Or I can keep it as it is. And we've got a little bit of a problem over there, but... We'll fix that in a moment. Alright. Now there is ways of adjusting these so they don't do that. We could do... Are we going to do a resample? We can do a resample. Let's do a resample. That should give us... Hello, that's so many. Let's do... Not maximum segments, maybe. Right. Right. I want these to be random. Can I randomize? It's a point value, so I could do... Could I flip the normals on this? Would that help? Let me just quickly check what the normals are actually doing on this. Let's darken this. That's going to be... Is it going to be background? Yes, dark. Thank you. And then... Oh, we don't have normals on these? Is that possible? Oh, we do. It's that way. Alright. So that's not really going to be an option. Unless, I'm going to try something. I'm not sure whether that's actually going to make a difference. But let's do a group by range. Hello. Which button have I pressed? That one. Right, instancer, let's do tab group by range. Right, so that group by range is then going to grab every second point. Right? Every second point. And we want this again to be points. And then every second one. Why are the points so tiny? Let's go back here. There's a way of changing this. Opacity, brightness, no. Visualize, no. Guides, scale, normals. Normals are fine. Point marker size. Let's change that to a 5. Will affect only new viewports. Okay. Well, that is better. I'm not sure whether you can actually see it on stream, but for me it's more visible at least. Right, so group by range, and what I want to do is, okay, if we look at the normals on these, they're going this way. So my theory is we have some going in the opposite direction. Let me, information, can we actually see which goes? But the thing is, that's not a linear direction, is it? You know what? We're trying it. Attribute. Create. Attribute create, and then we are wanting to change normals. And that's a vector. And then that's x, y, z. Do we want to change? What are we changing? Probably z. Can we do something like a... Let's see what 1 does. I just want to see what it does. And I want to specify which group. Right, that seems to have flipped them. Right, so what does that give me? It worked. It worked. Absolutely brilliant. The only downside, though, is that with the fact that I changed the normal direction, if we actually look here, you can see it's no longer orienting along the curve, which is very annoying. Let's see. Could we reverse normal direction rather than... Let's try that. Let's try a reverse rather than... Can I do... No, it's not... Maybe we can do... Let me think. Is it a flip? Edge flip. No. Normal, not soften normals, not split. Just do a normal. If we do that, plop that in there. Points group 1. Yes? Question mark. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, it did in fact work. And then we can sort of place a control at the top where we can adjust things further if we'd like. But basically I can now choose to flip these around, which is what I wanted to do. Okay, brilliant. We're making progress here. Because my main issue was that there were two houses next to each other with the same what? What was I doing? Two identical houses next to each other. That one. And then this is random, but I'm not liking that it's not very random. It's not random enough. But okay, we'll work with it. I think, should we maybe flip more of these? Maybe 2? Maybe like that. Right, so that's better. In terms of resample, do we want 6? And no, because then I get that result. Right, so we're only gonna get 5. That is the... I want 6 though, so maybe if we make the curve a little bit longer, let's grab that one, and then resample by 6. Then we'll have enough space. I don't like the uneven spacing though. But okay, we'll deal with it. Right, so there's that. And then what else do we want? We want obviously another row of houses behind them, right? So let's copy this. We can merge it as well. Why not? Let's merge that with that. Right. But for this one, we want a new curve. So let's reset that one. Right. I want to template this one just so I can see where that is, and then we can draw another curve. So that is going to be draw, again, polygons. I want basically another row of houses behind that. I'm not quite liking the placement of these, so I'll change that. I can kind of decide how close I want. I don't want them to be directly in line with each other, and maybe we want a street in between. I don't know. If we want a street in between, this is not the ideal placement. Okay, let's think for half a second. How are we doing this? Are we maybe placing it more in line with that? From this, I'd say we need more samples. So let's do... maybe that many. But then it's over crossing each other again. So maybe 9. And I'd say let's randomize that. Now see, the problem I have with this and connecting these networks up is I don't like how the towers are placing. So I wonder if for the towers specifically, maybe for a few other things, we actually did a point scatter on a what? A point scatter on a plane. That could be an option. Right, let's explore it. because I don't like this at all, actually. Because it's not structured in a way that I like it. Right, so what are we doing? Let's go to modeling. And then we'll switch that out to OBJ, and we are going to do geo. Right, and that's going to be a plane. I lie. That's going to be a grid. It's going to be a grid, and then we want this to be giant. Alright, let's see. That's good. Right. Next thing, we could just do a point scatter. But the problem with that is it's not going to be very controlled. We could do a point scatter on a masked area. That is another option. We could do a point scatter on the masked area and go from there. However, the problem then is, again, your lack of control. Because if you do that, choices. Let me ground. And then output, and then that goes there. That's going to be out ground. Right. Alright. I'm also quickly going to remove the color on this at delete. Color. Specifically color. I don't know why the roof is not deleting its color. I've encountered this before, have not found the cause. Because if you look at all of these, yeah, no matter what I do, it doesn't delete. K-view, all of that. Right, so we've still got a different colored roof. I can't be bothered to fix that, so let's go back to Solaris. I did fix it before, but I didn't save the file. I'll be honest. Slight slip up there. Right, so Solaris, and that is going to be stage. Brilliant. Now, in the instance, I'm actually going to delete this side. Well, we can keep it, but I am going to get rid of the tower. Brilliant. Now, that's actually already better. Let's place a camera. We are going to view from camera 1. There's a specific way where you have to edit this. So that is going to be, I think, look through light. No. There's a specific button you have to press in order to move the camera. There we go. And then in terms of, we want different focal length. Perspective, that is fine. We want to reduce the focal length or increase the focal length? Probably reduce, right? So we'll reduce the focal length on that by quite a lot. Don't like that I can't see the other houses, but okay. I'm also going to randomize this because the seed is not great. Right, so that is more in line with what I want. I cannot see the houses behind though, so maybe I should do that. And then, what is the aspect ratio on this camera? Perspective is fine, clipping range is fine, aperture is fine. Can I not change the focal length? Oh no, it's not focal length, it's the aspect ratio. There is a way of changing it. Clipping range, no, it's not focal length. What does aperture do? Oh, aspect ratio. I'm an idiot. Right. Standard landscape. Do I like this though? It's fine. I don't love it. Let's reduce that a little bit. Okay, let me look at my reference, see where we're going with this. So the angle for this one is more horizontal. No, vertical. So we could look at a more vertical closed-in type of thing. Why not? No, what am I doing? Undo that. Let us see. What aspect ratio do I want? Let's try it. 4x5. Alright. Now, I'm not happy with this overall, but let's start to see what we're working with. Let's do a light. Why not? Let's do a light. Now, I've not used a light in a while, so we'll see how this goes, but, let's do, let me think, I think it's a merge first. So that gets plopped into there, that goes into there. There. Right, so for our little light here, now I actually want to view it at this point. I'm actually going to move it. So that is going to be over here. And what you can do is you can say, I want the specular response to be roughly there on that building, or the focal point. You can kind of play with it and see what you like. Let's do something like that, and then we can increase the, is that the intensity? Exposure. Right, and then we can do, we'll have to move further down. Let's view it from there. No, I want to edit that one. And then we can look through this camera to kind of see what this light is doing. So already I can tell you, I don't like the placement of the houses. I don't like it curves that way. I do want this to be more straight, like the reference photo. So, and I haven't forgotten about the plane and the tower. The tower and the plane is still, it's still in the works. Haven't forgotten about it. We'll take a look at that in a second. Right, so that's that. Then, in the instancer, what I'm actually going to be doing is firstly grabbing the first curve, and I'm actually going to adjust it so that it doesn't curve that much. So, let's do that. I don't mind a little bit of a curve. I don't mind a little bit of a wobble in the line of houses. In fact, I like a little bit of a wobble. Right, but for the second one, I'm completely going to move it. Because I don't like the placement of these. So let's grab all of these. I'm actually going to move it over here. And move these so they're more straight. already like that slightly more. Maybe the street curves a little bit so that it goes that way. What have I done over there? Why is it upside down? Oh, because I'm moving it while it's not in perspective. Okay, wait. Oh, while it's in perspective. While it's not in orthographic. Right, so let's move that back. And then I'm actually going to view this from the top like I was meant to at the start. And I'm going to move this into place. So that goes that way. Goes that way. Let's go back to the camera view. And then I can kind of decide, do I want a street going this way? Or do I want it to curve? Oh, that's why it flipped. It's because I curved it that way. Okay, that's fine. Let's do that way. I don't like that this is flipping. Right. Right. And then I'm going to move it closer because it's a little bit too far out. Right, and then we also want houses on the other side, so I'm going to add basically a curve on the other side as well. That's also going to get merged. So that is going to be a reset operation, and then we are going to be adding a polygon curve. So that is going to go on this side. Why are you being weird? Is it just the lighting? No, your normals are flipped. Why is your normals flipped? Resample, that's fine. Orient along curve, that is fine. Polygroup. If we void these, does that fix it? No. No, it does not. Why are you flipped? It's so weird. So that's fine. Orient along curve is fine. What if should we do that? No, because keep original, no. Compute normals, no. Reverse normals. That is doing what it's supposed to do. Right, let's add another normal. I'm still not quite sure why it's flipped upside down. I'm very confused. Okay, so it's in part that, okay. So firstly, let's change the name. It's going to be group 2, and that is also going to be group 2. And then this is going to be, now this is going to fix it, just to preface, this is not going to fix it, but it is part of the process of fixing it. So let's do group 3. So it's specifically the orient along curve that is making this wonky. Target up vector is going to be y. There we go. Right. Progress. Then I'm going to grab these guys. Am I going to? Yes, I am. Right. Why? There we go. And then, are we moving this closer there? I don't know. I don't want to view this from the resample point. I want to view it at this point. I'd say this one needs to come more that way. That probably needs to go more that way. Now, something I'm not quite liking is the way this is looking on that view. So I'm actually thinking of moving the camera. That's not going to give me the view I want. Choices, choices, choices. I could curve this away and have something else in the foreground. Possibly. Because I'm definitely not quite liking how that is going. But okay, we'll work with it for now. And then let's pop out of here quickly. Let's do... That looks like that. We obviously need something there. What do we want there? We could place a bridge there. So let's do... The bridge needs to be 2 towers though, but okay. So let's do a transform. Now firstly, as I mentioned, this is too big. Alright? It is too big. So what we're firstly going to do is actually make this 0.75, maybe less than that, we'll see. And then that one is locked. And then we can plop this one backwards. I'd say that's still too big. Let's try 0.5. Right? And we can actually rotate this a little bit. Now, I'd say I want towers at that point. We could go for a low view, but I'm not quite a fan of that. Let's get the towers in. That is... Choices, choices, choices. Okay, let's do transform. Or let's go to the grid. That is going to be... Let's do another instancer. And then we will grab the tower. Plop into there, and then we import. Is it there an import? No. It's not going to be a bind. Shop network. How am I going to get the grid? I cannot remember. Instancer, that is geometry bound, clean, clip, curve, delete, convert, managers. Can I do this with LobNet? No. Okay, but it is a manager because it's one of these. Let's see, managers. It's not chops, it's not a constraint. Cops is textures. Dop. No. Object. No. What is going to be? Unless... Wait, let me check on the other one because it is visible on the other one. Let's pop into the instancer here. Object merge. Object merge. It was an object merge. Let's do that. Object merge. Brilliant. Plop that into there. And then that is going to be ground. Accept. Scatter. We could turn this into a height field. But okay, let's not do that. Let's scatter. Alright. We can do clumps, why not? Scale. Do we want to scale? Use geometric normals, randomize point order. That's all fine. Generate by density is fine. And then that goes there. I want to... Do we need an output for that? Do we maybe need an output? Let's do output. Right. Instance ground. Let's see. Merge. That's so cool. I wonder if we plop that into there. Nope, wrong side. Whether that'll give us something cool. Very unorganized, but it is cool. Okay, so that's one option. But what if we combine the two somehow? Because obviously this is not working. Could we... I don't know if I want to mess with p-scale. Okay, so that does nothing. Good to know. Max relax iterations. We could reduce the number. Right. Right. So the tower, firstly going to remove that. Okay. So, we could still pop into here and do the scatter, but my problem with this is as follows. This is obviously overlapping on the everything else. So let's firstly get rid of our bridge. Let's start there. Second thing we want to do is, can we do object? We could grab the areas of the wait. Let's grab the grid ground, except. Okay, so that gives us that. Template those. It's the curves, right? Can still do the scatter. What happens if we do height field scatter? Required terrain. Height field scatter. No, because this isn't a height field. We'd have to convert it to a height field. Right, it's fine. Scatter. Scatter. Right, so that gets plopped into there. And then we plop that into there, and that gives us this. Now I need a way to basically get rid of everything within that area. So what we could do is we could create a mask for that area. But then that would be a painted mask, which I'm not really a fan of. But okay, let's say mask. We could paint a mask. Draw mask. Choices. Combine, insert, paint a mask. What does that do? Can I put a curve in that? That does nothing. Display group. Brush radius is paint foreground. Let's do radius. And does nothing. What am I missing? What am I missing? Right, let's try something else. Let's do convert. Is it convert? Let's do height field. Let's pop that off to the side for a moment. Let's do height field. And that is going to be there is a way to convert a plane mask by feature, convert height field. There we go. Object, height field, polygon soup. Why is it not doing what I want it to do? Let's go perspective. It's actually okay, so that way around works. Brilliant. Can I now actually mask areas out? Or is that too much to ask for? Let's do scatter. No. Right. Can we paint a mask? Let's do... Oh, but I think I need to actually turn on the thing. Okay, we'll work with that. Let's try something else quickly. Let's do paint a mask. But... No. First paint a mask. Radius. There we go. Okay, so let's do resample. Right? No, we're not doing a resample. We're doing... Can we subdivide this without destroying everything? Subdivide by like 2. Right? Now we can paint a mask, and we want to mask. I'm going to increase the radius on this by probably more than that. Now there's better ways of doing this. This is still tiny. But we're working with this. So we don't want anything in these areas. That's fine. Right. Now, from here, what we're actually going to do, can we invert mask? Invert. Mask invert. No, because this is not a height field. How annoying. Let's see. Front face only. Symmetry attributes. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo. Let's see. Minimum, maximum, multiply. That's controls, attributes, symmetry, recache. Show brush path. Front face is only, visible only, connected only. None of those. Okay, let's see what do we have under mask. Mask by feature, that's fine. We don't want that. Surely there's got to be a way to invert this. Let's try. Invert. Only option is group invert. Could I invert the group? Create a group from the mask. How annoying. Auto points, primitives, vertices. Can I? No. Probably not. I don't want to do the reverse of this. Because I could. Because this isn't actually scratching on a mask, actually. So that's not an option either. Because, if I'm not mistaken, there's no way to specify masked. Unless we paint a mask. No, not a mask, group. Let me think how we're doing this. Let's see what other scatters we have. Scatter. Height field scatter. Scatter in texture mask. Texture primitive. No. Am I going crazy? There should be a way. Let us see. Density attribute. Right, so that gives me that. Now I want to invert it. Right, we've got it. How to invert mask Houdini. Let's try it. So that is going to be. Is it at VOP? It's not attribute VOP. It is not attribute create. I think it's attribute wrangle. So grab that, and then we plop that into there, and we say, go ahead. Brilliant. Now this gets merged with that. No, I might want this in a separate network. Because we could also. No, let's focus. Right, so I'm actually going to grab this. Create another instancer, or actually use this one. Paste that. Output that. That gets plopped into there, that goes to there, that goes to there. Brilliant. Now, the thing that I want to copy here is the towers. Right, so this one, where are you? I don't want you to be instance, I want you to be stage. Did I move the camera? Apparently, yes. How annoying. I actually want the ground to be visible as well, so let's do bridge, lantern, house. Where's the ground? Did I not do an import for this? It seems that way. Right, let's do SOP. Import So that's going to get plopped into there. We want ground. Right, so that gets merged there. Just so that we've got an easier reference point. I'm not quite sure what I want to do angle-wise. Maybe. Another option is to do another merge, plop that into there, plop that into there, and then increase the scatter amount to like 150. That is awful. I really don't want to manually place these. That's not too bad. I'm just gonna render this for the fun of it. Can I do that? Let's see. Now, I'm not gonna stay or stick with this as it is. Do not worry. But we are going to play with it just for the fun of it. I do want a light, but I actually think I might be doing... Can we do... Not a spotlight. I want a dome. Can I get a dome? I think there's a dome. Dome light. Brilliant. That is too intense. Let's do 0.1. Alright. And for this one, I've lost my voice again. Fantastic. Fantastic. Hoping for the best here. Hoping for the best here. Alright, so. In terms of, let's say, no, I want camera. So, in terms of set view, cameras, I want to place this light. Right, camera. Where are we placing, let's say, specular spots? Do we want it over here? I think this should be higher up, personally. And then we do something like, not there. Can we do something like, I don't know, something like that? And then let's quickly pop into this instancer and scale it. Let's do transform, because I think we might want a bigger ground. So let's do times 2. Right. And then for our scatter, I think we can double it. Nope. No. Maybe like that. And then randomized point order is fine. Max point limit is fine. Use geometric, no. Where is that other option? It is relax iterations. Do we maybe want that? No. Right, so let's do random seed. Let's quickly see what's going on here. Maybe something like that. And then in terms of camera angle, now I don't like how far that is in the distance, so I'm wondering whether we should actually decrease the mask over there. Oh, of course, I scaled the grid, so the mask is actually in the wrong location now. So, let us see. I'm going to remove some of this. Let's say brush radius is fine. Can I? Opacity, radius, pressure, that's fine. Why can't I adjust this? Why are you info? Mask is fine. Points is fine. Volume, surface, paint mode. Why can't I paint it? Right, new mask. Let's do paint a mask again. Quite frankly, not sure why that one is not working, and I'm too lazy to fix it. Alright. So where is that? I think what I'm probably going to have to do is do similar to what I did before and actually grab the curves. I wonder if we can maybe do, is it object merge? Might be object merge. Let's do an object merge. And then we are going to grab instancer 1. That'll give us the curves. Brilliant. So now we can actually paint the mask over here. We might have to subdivide again. So let's do 3. And then we are, again, going to paint the mask while viewing those. Right? Right. Increase the radius. So I can have an easier time of this. Alright, and then can I do... This is taking forever. Why does my brush size have to be this small? Can I do like times 10? Of course I can. It's Houdini. I could have saved myself so much more time. But okay, we're doing that. I don't want that in the center though, so maybe... let's do like that. Alright? Alright. Maybe a little bit more there. Okay, good enough. I'm not messing with that any further. Right. Right. We've got a dome light, we've got that light. I still despise the angle of this camera and a lot of other things, but yeah, okay. I'm just gonna do a render for the fun of it. Render settings. Default camera 1, that is fine. We will be restricted on resolution because I've only got Houdini Apprentice. Most likely I will not. Okay, so my headphones died. But I've got my old ones. They're not as good, but they do the job somewhat. Right, so what we will be doing is rendering. Render products. It's actually this render settings that goes into there. All right. Right. So that gives me the aspect ratio. We're probably going to use XPU. What we could do is do a test render. That renders so slow. And that's so ugly as well. Let's just CPU. CPU is much quicker. But still slow. And again, I hate the angle of this. Do more like that. Yeah, good enough. Right. No, I don't want to set the view. Let's do that. And then that is also going to be, is it going to be comma? Comma setup, comma render products. Don't think it's that. It's going to be render settings. No. Is it this one? Use node range. Render. Render to mplay. I think. Allow. Let's see. Let's see. Brilliant. It actually works. Do I hate the camera angle? Yes. Do I hate the overall environment setup? Also, yes. But at least we've got renders working. That is a start. Obviously, the lighting and a lot of other things aren't ideal. Again, not quite a fan of the overall look of things, so to speak. But okay, so that works. Now, since that works, I can now start playing with things some more. First thing I want to change is I want to change the aspect ratio on this. I'm not happy with that. We could go back to our original, which was 16 by 9. No, don't do that. Yeah, okay. 16 by 9, which gives us a more regular environment. That's awful as well. I might actually manually place this. I think I need to think a bit about how I actually want to do the placement of these. Probably off stream, so that might be something we visit next time. But we've covered a lot in the sense of we've covered instances, we've covered curves, scattering, importing into Solaris, setting up basic lights. This is very basic lights. That's not quite what I had in mind, but bottom line is we figured that out. So I'm not mad at the overall what we've done section. I think we need p-scale. So that is going to be, it's not attribute expression. random scale. And that's going to go into that. All right. Why is this? Oh, I've not changed the scale on that. Okay, wait. Let me actually do that. Let's do transform on the ground, which I've actually not named. Let's do, is it times 3? Let's do times 3. Why not? Now, I'd argue that P scale value is too large, in the sense of we'll need to restrict it. But okay. Due to that, we can probably get away with more instances. Which would then pack, of course, but we're going to ignore that fact and quickly just increase the scatter amount. Hey, I actually don't hate that as much. I do want less towers though, because that is insane. Is this only scattering? It's not only scattering towers, right? Can I get a random seed here? If only. Yeah, that could be fun. It's still awful, but it's going to be more fun. Right, so for next time, I think what we'll be doing is I'll create a bit of a plan for what I want to be doing. Specifically with the placement, I've had a lot of fun messing with this, but none of this is anything that I could actually use. So what I'll be doing is be doing a little bit of research on city building in Houdini, just to see what the best way of placing these would be. Because obviously, yes, the curves work, the instances work, but I don't like the lack of control I have. The curves are fiddly. The curves are very fiddly, and then the actual tower placement area is too chaotic. So I'll be doing a bit of research on that, and then for next time we can explore this in more detail, because I really don't want to be detailing any part of this environment more without having a clearer picture of where I'm headed. So quick note, I've changed my streams to once a week, so I'll now be streaming only on Tuesdays, just due to the fact that I need to open up some time to work on my actual work things, in between Firestorm things and just freelancing in general and so on. So yeah, I think that'll be it for today. I'll figure out what I want to do for the actual environment, the placement of it, and then next week Tuesday we'll continue and we'll actually place things, because I'm not happy with this. I had fun, but this is not something that's workable. So we want something that's workable. So that'll be a problem for next time. But all right, thank you for joining me, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.